Darlene here from Darlene's Garden. It's been a while since I just sat down and talked to you and didn't really show you much of anything, although I am going to show you a couple things before we get done here, but just to talk today. What can I talk about? Well, I should talk about gardening since my channel is about gardening, right? And I could talk about Toastmasters. You hear me talk about Toastmasters every now and then. Today was Toastmaster Tuesday. We had an amazingly fun meeting this morning. Every week we have a theme of some sort. And sometimes the themes are a bit bizarre, and sometimes they go along with whatever holidays are coming up. Our theme today was umbrellas. Amazingly, and the reason it's amazing, usually when we have that theme, it's mentioned maybe a little bit about what it's about or why the Toastmaster picked the theme. And when we have table topics, which is where we get asked questions, we speak off the top of our heads. The questions might be about whatever the theme is. But today, the entire meeting was about the theme, because the speaker that we had today talked about the theme. Guess what the theme was? Umbrellas! Well, I had a couple of jokes that I gave everybody. I'll tell you the jokes too, because I thought they were funny. What does an umbrella and the 12th Academy Award winner have in common? Answer: they're both gone with the wind. Well, just don't tell clever jokes about umbrellas, because they just go over people's heads. Get it? And there's a joke that says the person who invented the umbrella was simply going to call it Brella. But he paused and started his sentence with a filler word, And so it ended up being umbrella. And so it starts from there. We had a fun meeting talking about what umbrellas were made out of, what they used to be made out of, what different things you can use an umbrella for, like rain or sun or picnic tables, decorations, all kinds of things. Well, that had nothing to do with gardening, although I suppose you could wear an umbrella, one of those little beanie hats that has an umbrella at the top to help protect you from the sun. Or you could take a broken umbrella and use it as a stake to stake up a plant that wants to flop over. Or you could even fix up an umbrella to put over a plant to protect it from the sun if it was getting too much sun. Because sometimes when it gets really hot out, the plant needs a bit of shade if it's right in the direct sun. All of those things you could use an umbrella for. Well, that was an odd thing for me to be talking about, wasn't it? Umbrellas. What can I say? On a more serious side, I got my 2 magazines today. Sorry about that. I had to lean down to get them. Reading through it, my America's Freedom magazine and the American Rifleman. Some serious things in there about our freedoms, most particularly protecting the Second Amendment And I don't want to get into a discussion here, because that's probably one of the things that YouTube doesn't like. But we do need to defend our freedoms, and we need to protect the things that the Second Amendment protects. Enough said. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it. Just know that I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. What else? Just a beautiful day outside. It's kind of windy. The temperature outside right now, I don't know. I have to wait till my weather vane shows me. But I think it's like in the mid-70s. It'll tell me in a minute what it is. Mid-70s. And the wind is blowing. I will show you a picture here of the things on my porch with the wind blowing. Hold on. There's the wind. Blowing, blowing, blowing on my plants, helping them to get stronger. I need to remind hubby to put up my bee house. The wrapper will come off of it. That's just there until we get it put up. It has instructions on it. Well, I venture to say that everybody in my growing zone, I mean 6B, has probably gone past their frost date. Mine was more or less around the 10th of May. And I've got the majority of my plants that I planted indoors sitting out on the table. I believe they're hardened off enough to plant. We're just waiting to get some more dirt, and hubby's in town working on that right now. I wanted more Promix because that's what I put in what I've done. So the totes, I'll get my words straight here in a minute. The totes that I've got partially filled up, we used the Promix, and we were going to get more, but he said they were out of it, so he's going to get something else. So I told him as long as it's about the same price, it was $12 and something for 2 liters, and as long as it's that price or less, that I'm okay with just about anything, because I want to get this garden going. It'll be interesting how I decide to get it all arranged so that I am capable of going out there and doing something with it. We decided that the way he's got it set up for me, I can put a chair out there. We've got some lawn chairs that I can sit and do my gardening without having to stand. Won't have to bend over or work on keeping my legs safe. Sitting in a chair should help me to accomplish just about everything that I need to do. We'll get it all planted, and then it'll be up to making sure it gets watered and cared for. Some of my tomato plants are getting tall enough they should start putting on little blooms here pretty soon. So I will have to look and see. I think I don't remember whether it's blood meal or bone meal that I need to add to start making the blooms. I know it's not the nitrogen. I've got some 20-20-20 fertilizer, and that will help, but it won't necessarily spur the blooms. The nitrogen helps with anything that's green, and the foliage, the nitrogen helps with the foliage. The P and the K, potassium and, is it magnesium? Whatever the P and the K stand for, and I always forget. That's what you need to focus on to make sure that it starts setting fruit. And yes, Tomato is a fruit, not a vegetable. Anything that has seeds in it is a fruit. Tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, those are all fruit, not vegetables. Anything that's just greens are vegetables. Spinach, cauliflower, cabbage, asparagus, onions, those are all vegetables. So as I think of what to say next, I don't really have to talk a long time, do I? I've given you some tips for today. If you don't have the kind of soil you need, get what you can get, use what you can get. Because it's better to grow something in cheap, iffy soil than it is to not grow it at all. As gardeners, we do the best we can with what we've got. And sometimes we have to be rather creative in doing that. And that's what I'm being this year, is rather creative. I am enjoying watching all of you as you put your gardens together. Some of you are way ahead and are already picking those tomatoes and cucumbers. Some of you, even in my same zone, are way ahead of me, because just because we're 6B, not all 6Bs are the same. It has to do with the average of your cold temperatures in the winter. Has nothing to do with your spring and summer and fall temperatures. Oh, itchy nose. Okay. So even within the same local area, the zones, if you're in the same zone, it's different. We have little microclimates. My garden might be hotter in the summer than some people's because of the way the sun shines on it. My garden gets a little bit of, the garden area right by my porch, it gets a little bit of shade in the morning from the apple tree. But as the hot part of the day, it's pretty much just in the sun, in the hot, hot sun. Then toward evening, the shadow from the house going the other direction starts to shade the part up closest to the house, and it works its way gradually across the garden. Basically have 4 garden areas. This year I'm concentrating on that one right by the house. I've got out by the poplar trees where my compost pile is. I doubt if much will be done out there this year. I expect some volunteer potatoes, because the ones I had out there last year didn't get dug up. They just didn't. And then we have the area out on the mound, which is the area between the house and the front lawn and the street. And that's where most of my flowers and stuff have been. So this year, basically all I'm going to get is the perennials. The things from last year didn't get pruned out, you know, like you take the last year's old flowers. Didn't get done. What doesn't get done, and that's the way it is. But I'm sure we'll have new ones crowding out the old. The daffodils were beautiful. We had some tulips out there too. The iris are just now starting to be in bloom. They're so pretty. Here's my iris patch, or one of them. This is right between the house and the garage. So pretty. I have irises in other parts of the yard too, but this is the main patch. And I notice I have some alliums coming up with big purple globes at the top. Beautiful. What else will come back up there? Oh, my Jerusalem artichoke, or ground choke, sunchoke. I'm sure that'll come back. I've got wine barrels, which I've tried to plant last year. Well, for a couple of years, I've tried to plant petunias in them. And my luck was so-so. Even with a bubblegum supertunia. Part of the problem with one of them is that once the sunchoke grows up, it blocks out most of the water coming from the water sprinkler. So I'm going to try something different this year, or just I'd probably leave it. I don't know. I should put some kind of a perennial in there so that it will come up regardless of whether I do something to it or not. We'll see. Okay, then my third gardening area is out by the fence where all my grapevines are. They did not get pruned this year, but they're getting all greened up. My husband's big blackberry plant is out there. And then sometimes I plant flowers out there with all that, but not this year. And then we've got, along with that, on that side of the house, up by the house, is a raspberry bushes. Not the whole length of the house, but most of the length of the house. Let's see, I've got the area out by, on the other side of my deck in front. Last year, I planted some mint, and I know you're not supposed to plant it outside of a pot because it takes over, but that's kind of what I wanted it to do in that area. My rose bushes are there too, so I noticed some of it's coming up, and I'm going to have to see if I can get hubby to pick me some mint so I have fresh mint for some fresh mint in my tea. And also on that side of the house, my yarrow is coming up. Last year's didn't get trimmed out, but it doesn't seem to matter. It's still coming up. I had some pretty tulips there, and we'll see what else comes up. Grass comes up, but there's no way I'm going to have hubby weed eat that part. That grass will just have to either stay or maybe get pulled at some point. Let's see. The area out by the fence, I showed you in one of my videos some tulips out there and mentioned I have blueberry bushes, which are all covered up with grass right now, so at least I should keep the birds from eating the blueberries. I don't know. We'll see what goes. We will see what happens there. Well, I've been blabbering on quite a bit this morning. Besides Toastmaster Tuesday, I took care of a bill that actually got paid, and I got notice that it had gotten paid, but it got paid with a card that we got rid of because the card had been compromised. So the card company had sent us new cards with new numbers, but I hadn't remembered that I needed to go in and change the automatic payment from the old number to the new number. And miraculously, the old number, actually the charge went through and they charged the old number. So I called them and got it all fixed. They refunded that and charged it on the new number. So got that taken care of. So that was for my Zoom account. My Zoom account, use it for Toastmasters, but I don't charge my Toastmaster Club for it because I use it for things other than just Toastmasters too. So that wouldn't be right to have Toastmasters pay for something that isn't just for Toastmasters. So I use it for my Hunter Education Instructors Association. I'm their secretary treasurer. And so I volunteer. I buy my husband and I buy the Zoom account, and then we donate the use of it to both my Toastmaster Club and to my Hunter Education Instructor Association organization. And occasionally I use it for other things too. Like my husband has used it to have Zoom visits with his siblings. And I've used it to make the occasional video for this channel. Although I prefer using my phone because it seems like the video quality is better on my phone than when I do just me talking on a Zoom account. It seems like when everybody else is on the Zoom account, the picture quality is better than when it's just me. I think it has to do with the size of the screen. Gardening, volunteer organizations, friends, family. All of those things are important in our lives. Our belief system, both religiously and politically and everyday. Is there a term for that? Everydayly? the way we believe how our life should be led. I guess that kind of ties into our religious system, even though it's not religious per se. What we would believe about God has everything to do with how we conduct our lives. The freedoms that God bestowed on us. And I'm glad that the founders of our land recognized what some of those were. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the ability to protect ourselves from our enemies, to protect ourselves from the government itself, to hunt for food. All of those things are important. I'm hearing strange noises. I'm wondering if hubby got back home already. I'm going to go ahead and close this video up. I haven't decided if I'm going to add the hashtag for my gardening homesteading skills collaboration or not. I probably should, since I talked about gardening a little bit. So I'm hoping you're having a good day. And I really, really thank you for watching, and I appreciate you more than you'll know. The best way to help me grow my channel is to share my videos, recommend people to subscribe to me. Subscribe yourself if you haven't done it. If you have, subscribe to me. Double check, make sure you're still subscribed. I know I've had to resubscribe to people off and on because YouTube and its magic powers unsubscribes people periodically from things. So let's hope your day is going well. I know mine is. I'm having a good day. So until I see you again, my friends, may the good Lord surround you with his love and with his blessings, and keep you safe and strong and able to come back and watch my next video. Bye for now.